ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Ground Zero podcast. This is the official podcast for Lobby Zero, the Ground Zero for gaming. We are on episode number 2. We've done with 0 and 1. We've introduced the business. We've introduced the team. And now we're at a stage where we're going to be talking to the first guest ever. I mean, if you want to consider the team as guests, then yeah, I mean, that's cool. But this is our first ever creator guest that we're having on board. So without further ado, I would like to introduce Siddharth, also known as Siddhartha. What's up, man? How are you feeling?
Very well, man. Just waiting for it to rain in Delhi right now, but yeah, chilling. What's happening with you guys?
All good, all good. How long has it been since it rained last time in Delhi? Has it been a while?
4 days. But
4 days.
yeah, I mean, it becomes it's very humid right now. So
yeah, I think it's the season here in Kochi. It's been raining back to back.
Yeah, it started. I think
a few days now.
You guys get it first anyway. So
yeah, that's how it goes.
So
yeah. So just a very short introduction from my side, because I want to let you do your own kind of introduction, just for the sake of, for the people who are not very familiar. But Siddhartha is one of the creators, the first creator that we got in touch with when we decided it was time to look out for creators to help us create content for Lobby Zero. And I went out there, I was, Googling us, scouring YouTube, and everyone knows the history. We've talked about this on his stream.
Yeah.
It kind of ended up me being a stalker. Is a little bit of a weird dynamic, but I jumped.
But accurate.
Yeah. So I jumped on a stream, and I watched some of his Warzone gameplay. That's what you're still into right now, right? Your main is pretty much Warzone. But I guess you do a lot of different things. I'll let you talk about that in a bit. But so I saw Siddhartha, and I was like, oh, this is really cool. The way he kind of directs conversation and does his thing is kind of up our alley. So I decided, we get in touch with him and see what we can make happen. And so yeah, that's basically the backstory. Lobby Zero in its journey, at least as we go forward, the aim is to connect with creators and do some really cool collaborations with them. So we've still been trying to iron out the kinks. So hopefully in the very near future, you guys are going to see some content coming out. So yeah, man, I'm just going to let you do your thing in terms of an introduction. Tell us a little bit about yourself, and then we'll take it from there.
I mean, the creator journey started long ago, if you will. I not as a gaming creator particularly, but I started as a blogger a long time ago. I'm not even kidding. Somewhere around 2007 or 6, maybe, or earlier than that. I started as a creator back then because a lot of people didn't realize that, what creators were, particularly bloggers are now creators as well. And then video creators are now creators too. So, and even podcast creators. So I started back in the day. And from there, I started as a blogger and then turned myself into something that a lot of people were not expecting. And turned out to be a bedroom DJ, and then started off as a DJ in clubs as well. So from there, I started the creator journey, particularly in public, and then I hosted my podcast. So a lot of there were a bunch of milestones, and then came PUBG, the mobile version, and that was the easiest game to get that I could get access to. And from there, I thought, why not live stream this? And as soon as I started live streaming, I kind of changed as a creator myself, because live was something that kind of was my thing ever since. Because even as a DJ, even once you're playing, you're live, right? And that whole dynamic of connecting with the audience was something that I was a lot fond of. And then from there, we started with PUBG, and now we're here, Warzone, and further, and even Battlefield. Now I'm very excited about Battlefield, but But if you guys have seen the Avatar trailer, it was insane.
Yeah.
Insane though. Did you guys how did you guys like the the Ubisoft forward in other ways?
Oh, that looked pretty interesting actually. Like I mean, sucks that for us it's at night, so we have to stay up to watch all these E3 streams. But if you're a dedicated fan, you will stay up. So it was pretty interesting. But yeah, I mean, slightly underwhelming. I expected a little bit more, but the Avatar one really surprised me. I didn't even expect it. So
it was out of the box.
Yeah, I guess we'll talk more about it like towards the end, I guess.
We'll get into the E3 part.
So the DJing gigs, all of that, was that in Delhi? Was that your turf or
Delhi, Bangalore, and a little bit of around Delhi as well.
You lived in Bangalore, or
I stayed there for a bit.
Okay,
not much. But it was it was a couple of private gigs that I was playing for a couple of friends, and then so it was so much fun. In Bangalore I loved for the vibe, and then I went to see a bunch of venues that had my kind of vibe, music wise and otherwise as well, like setup basically. And then once I explored that, kind of like the vibe there, kind of like the vibe there. So I kind of enjoyed the fact that electronic music was booming back in the day, and we me and a couple of friends, we were trying to promote that experience, if you will, as creators. Even DJs are creators that for me, because the term is pretty huge, and encompasses a lot of different types of creators. But it is what it is. So I started with that, then I combined all of that. Podcast happened, now live streaming.
Right. So you've got DJing, gaming. What are your passions? You're writing, you said.
Yeah. So right. So apart from that, day jobs, when the day jobs came around, I was once a copywriter, still a copywriter, by the way. So that thing also was part of my persona and the profile. So that started, that continued wherever I went. So that kind of, I mean, it's a mix and mash of all the things that I was doing, because a lot of people think that, if you're sticking to one, stick to one, but they don't realize the connections between all the things that you do. So, as a writer, you also have to speak to the audience. As a DJ, you have to speak to the audience as well. Musician, you have to speak to the audience. Live streamer, you have to speak to the audience as well. So, it's a very dynamic. Plus, I mean, but the basic principles of all the performances, the performing arts, if you will, so those would be the same. Basic principles.
That's an interesting point. Like the whole sentiment about you doing one thing, stick to that one thing. But the reality is, when it comes to entertainment, or when it comes to performing, and not even just performing, but just different disciplines. Like for example, copywriting isn't necessarily a performance art, but it's a discipline that needs a certain command over language, which again translates into your performance art, whatever it is that you do, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So that's pretty dope, man. That's pretty dope. That's an interesting viewpoint. Yeah. But would you place, like, where does gaming fall in your spectrum of, I don't know, passions? Is there a spectrum?
Yeah. So I mean, like you said, what are my interests? So when I started back in 1996, 95, 96, when
that's a year before I was born.
So yeah.
Okay, wait. You started gaming at 96?
Yeah, sort of. So I mean, I don't look that old, do I? So,
I think it's the opposite. It's the opposite. Yeah, that's what Nitin. I don't think Nitin has context.
Oh, right.
He doesn't.
The audience doesn't know either. Yeah.
He doesn't, right? So yeah, I mean, when I first touched the computer, so I started gaming back then only, because I used to get a hold of a Mac or a PC on a random basis. at my father's workplace sometimes. So there was this game called Load Runner. So what you used to do was dig holes in the ground and trap the enemies in those grounds. And once you've been eliminated, you get to the next level. So it used to get tougher with more enemies. And even before that, for that matter, I don't know if you guys remember, but Tetris was one of the games that was pretty huge when it came to handheld. And then of course the Nintendo game stations with Duck Hunt and whatnot, and then Mario came around, and then so many other games. So back in the day, I started with my PC. That was a Windows 95, if I remember correctly, and Dave used to be there, and then so many.
I think Dave was my first experience of gaming.
Right.
Dave.
And one of my first too.
I mean, it used to be there in the schools, right? So that's the entry point.
Yeah. So that's when I started. India. So many games that I started with. Then came Sims, Zoo Tycoon, then Roller Coaster, then Railway Tycoon, if you will, and then so many other games. So gaming turned out to be one of those things that I was doing as soon as I touched the computer. So and then ever since, I've never left gaming particularly, but it used to take a backseat back every now and then, because gaming in India used to be a subject that that used to get hushed. Why would you game? Because you turn dumb or something like that. That's something that I didn't understand ever since. But I was luckily, I used to get a lot of free time that I would spend on this, and it was pretty much an investment of my time as well. So what I used to do was, one of those days, it's not 1996 by the way, because I remember we were playing this game called Mustafa at the arcades. If you guys have played at the arcades, Snow Brothers,
no,
Mustafa.
No, I mean, I played it in arcades, but haven't played that game.
Right.
I don't think two of us are even old enough for the arcades.
Right. So the game's name used to be Classic Dino Cadillacs Light. Dino Cadillacs. So if you guys have played this, just Google it. The Cadillacs and Dinosaurs, I think, is something on those lines. So we used to go back to arcades, spend a lot of time there. The sikke wala, the coins you used to buy, and then came Tekken. Tekken was then my jam. Then I switched over to arcades, because I was not allowed to play on PC for a bit because studies and whatnot, and the societal pressure, if you will. Society pressuring you into being a good boy. That used to be there, but it was quite a ride. So I used to, I remember getting a big beating for this. I stole $10, and I went to an arcade because I wanted to, and it was quite a match that we had put together, and I was one of the players there, and they were calling me, and I wanted to get there, so I just took $10 out of my mom's wallet, and I just snuck out of the house, and she was like, "Where did those $10 go?" After I won that match, by the way, but then once I came home, I knew that I was going to get a beating, so because I went there.
Knows. So
she knew. Everybody knew that I was quite a fanatic when it came to all the gaming. Then my Masi, my mom's sister, she had a computer when I was when I used to visit my nanny's place. So I used to use her PC to play the first Spider-Man, if you will. So these were the key that
I remember Spider-Man.
Oh yeah, that was that.
That was the game. It had Stanley as like the narrator.
Yeah, welcome, true believers. Right. Yeah, true believers. Yeah.
It was amazing.
I still, every now and then I keep making those references. If people, if you guys have noticed that, whenever I'm dropping into, or probably, using the dead silence perk in Warzone, so I end up saying, "Mind if I drop in?" And if you guys remember this, this used to be the punchline whenever Spider-Man would break a window or break a rooftop to come in.
Right.
So all these were the memories that I wanted to use whenever I'm streaming like that.
Yeah.
And gaming turned out to be one parallel that grew automatically on its own when I progressed in life. So yeah, and then I thought, why not just realize this, that it's an indispensable part of my life now, and I think I should put it at the forefront. So came out. Yeah, I mean, there were so many arcade games, action games that we used to play, but shooters came around as soon as I got to realize that, okay, I can use PUBG as an entry point for me to get into live streaming. So PUBG happened to be there. I used to have a shitty laptop, say i3 with an Intel 5000 sort of a processor, and started live streaming with that. And it was easier to do that. And then now that I built a rig for this, and it was quite a journey. Yeah. So still thankful that the stars aligned somehow.
Yeah.
But it was so much fun.
I don't know. You talking about stealing money reminded me of.
I believe we've all been.
Out of this whole conversation, that's what I picked up.
That's what you picked up. I am trying to.
Straight up stealing money.
You're stealing money, huh? So.
Wait, when you talked about that, I just got reminded of this one time. I took my dad's phone, and so I had this habit of just playing. So it was a Sony. It was a slide Sony. Right. That's what I used to game on back in the day. Like I used to get all these different OG
mobile gamers.
Snakes.
Yeah, Snakes.
No, but they had some cool games in it, man. I think they had Mission Impossible.
There were
something. Yeah, there were some really interesting games in it, and so
it's like the OG mobile gamers.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I love the bounce, man. I mean, it was good.
The bounce.
Bounce. Yeah. Bounce was one of those games I remember.
Even the 3D, touch, bounce touch.
Right. Oh my God, I remember seeing.
That was a better version of Flappy Birds, by the way.
Oh, okay. I remember seeing the Sony Ericsson, what do you call that? The motion sensor phone for the first time when I saw
the racing game.
Yeah, somebody turned the phone on.
That looks so
what are you
cool.
doing? That's crazy. But what I was gonna say was basically that I had my dad's phone, and there was a time when there were these bunch of games, and I ended up buying all of these games, and the phone was linked to my dad's credit card, and I knew the money was going, but I was just like, I have to do it, and so I went on a spree. When I realized I could buy one game, I was just like, I should just do this.
One more.
I should just go. I should just go all out.
Let's go.
This is the one chance I've got.
Yeah, and I ended up
the only
spending
chance I have now.
And I ended up spending like $300, which I think is, how much is 300? 350.
SGD.
Yeah.
SGD. What the hell?
Bro. I think games were expensive back then. The small titles.
Dude, I bought a lot. That's the thing. It was not that expensive. I think it was probably less than $2.
How much would it be though?
A game would be $1. So
15
you
grand.
bought 300 games?
So 300 into 50. So
15 grand. Yeah, that's not bad. Oh. Nice. Back in the day, I'm not even kidding.
That's when I was in I think 5th grade, bro. I spent 15K on games. And then he got a bill, and he was like,
"Right, come here. Let me speak to you for a bit."
His boss went to him. And he was like, "What? What are you spending money on? Why is there a $300?" Because it was a corporate phone. So his boss was like, "Why are you spending $300 on video games?" And then he came back home, and he was like, "What
come to ground zero, please, for once."
Ground zero. So I got his bank balance to 0, but yeah, now we're at ground zero.
Yeah, cool
that's what the 0 stands for.
Now at least.
Yeah. So yeah.
That would have been the inception of employee management through games.
Yeah, pretty much.
Bringing in gaming into the corporate bubble.
But I believe
they would have taken it up then.
But I believe for Indian gamers, this has always been like a staple where everybody's like, don't game, and then we find like some secret way, किसी के घर पे जाके,
Oh yeah.
some
Oh,
arcade
like
or something.
that.
Yeah.
Oh, so there were two instances for me like that. I remember this very, very interestingly because, uh, so like I told you, I used to visit my nanny's place, right? And then there was my cousin who would stay right next to my nanny's, and he used to have another system as well. And he was the second person in the entire family who had the access of system of. So basically, and I used to use his system while he was there. Otherwise, I wouldn't, obviously. But I used to visit his place, play a bunch of games. We used to end up in a fight because, we would not settle for one chance less, one. And then there would be times when, I used to sneak into his place as well, and I tried a game while waiting for him. He would not turn up. I know that, but I told them that I will. I'll be waiting. So I used to use his system a couple of times, not much, but I used to destroy his high score, and then he would cry a little, if I'm not wrong, or maybe I'm just exaggerating. I don't remember, but so. So for kicks, man, he's not here. Right?
Yeah.
Even if you're watching right now, fuck you. So, so, right, so that happened, and then it used to be so much fun. So that happened, and then there came the time when smartphones started. I mean, phones started evolving, not smartphones, into smartphones, basically. So I remember having a GD92 Panasonic back in the day with that small antenna and long, thin body. Or that used to be the mobile phone that I started with, and then came to Nokia 1100, 3310 as well. That brick of a fucking phone. So then that came, and I used to play a lot of games on those as well. Spent I don't know how many hours, and then switched over to this phone called Nokia Engage QD. If you guys remember this.
Mhm.
Engage, I'm familiar. Wait, Engage is the one that was
A little bigger one. The bigger one.
yeah. Okay.
And the smaller, much more pocketable one would be the Engage QD. It had insane amount of games. Rayman, I remember very vividly. Then there would be Asphalt.
Wait, Rayman was on mobile?
Yep.
Damn,
So
I wasn't aware.
So Rayman used to be there, and then there would be Asphalt, and there would be a couple of other games that I don't remember, but these two used to be my jam. And then I switched over to arcade back again. Those were the days. Then those were the how do I say, the booster sort of gaming days when I thought gaming would change, and it did in a way where a lot of people didn't imagine, because handheld gaming was never a possibility until those phones came out. So I mean that used to be the fun part. So yeah, how do you guys use the mobile phone? If I put a year to this, say somewhere around 2005.
2005.
2005, I was 7 years old, bro. I don't think I was playing with those, those phones on the wall, fake talking to my friends,
Yeah, man. I mean, 1998 is when I was born, so 2005 isn't much. Nothing's much happening.
Right.
I believe for like a good chunk of my years, I just replayed Spider-Man over and over again.
The PC one.
On your phone?
Yeah, the PC one.
PC.
No, on PC. But like that game was pretty small and very replayable overall.
Are you talking about the demo version by any chance?
No. The game is pretty fun. Are you aware of like the cheats?
I used to remember, but now I don't. But I remember that to reach a couple of places, there were a couple of cheats as well. So,
Yeah. And like the game had so basically there were cheats that would completely transform your game into something else.
Like
And
what?
I still vividly remember this cheat called UA2Cs, which was named after a watcher from Marvel. This game brought like the entire Marvel universe to that one adventure, and it's pretty epic.
That reminds me of this game called what the Marvel's something assemble, is it?
Yeah, Marvel's. I think it was on
No,
Facebook.
Ultimate Alliance.
Ultimate Alliance.
Ultimate Alliance,
Yeah.
Was this on Facebook or something? I remember playing like
No.
a Marvel game on
It's
Facebook.
on console and PC, I think.
No. Yeah. Oh yeah. Right.
I think it was on PSP. I think it was.
I think it was just on all platforms.
All platforms. I played on Xbox. Yeah. Oh, that was fun.
Yeah, I have played a Spider-Man game on PSP though.
Oh right.
Spider-Man 2 was my PSP game. Spider-Man 2 was my PSP game.
Bro, I remember that. Dude, when we were kids, I came to your house and we were playing. You showed me your PSP Spider-Man crawling on the wall. And shit.
Yeah. No, that was a dope game because I think it was the first time that I was introduced to something even close to AAA. Like before that, it was all like very, very base level, basic, 2D games and stuff like that. And then when I got my PSP, I think I was in third grade. And then my first couple of games were NBA Live 06 and Spider-Man 2. And these were the two games I was just going on like crazy. And
for me, my first console game was Prince of Persia because I had gotten just like a PS2.
Yeah, Prince of Persia is a good one.
That was dope. And like some Mario Kart ripoff game that they just gave.
Actually, one of the earliest games I played was this 50 Cent game. 50 Cent Blood on the Sand.
Yeah,
2 games. 50 Cent Blood on the Sand. It's like a GTA, but Eminem and 50 Cent are in it. Snoop Dogg, Eminem, 50 Cent.
Wow,
it's GTA, but with them. It's really funny.
Yeah, we gotta put this in post-production. Put some gameplay.
Yeah. Blood on the Sand, bro.
The only thing I can remember that I played, I think, is IGI. I think right now I'm trying to recall,
recall all the games now. Sweet game, yeah. I remember this.
I think that's
what genre was that? What's IGI?
First person.
It was like hardcore stealth though. I mean, you used to die so pretty quickly in that game.
I still haven't finished the game. It's the same.
It's almost impossible even on easy.
And apparently there was a news 3 years back that they're coming up with a third enhanced.
Right.
Then it went up.
I think a bunch of these guys are doing some really cool revamps. Like I think even Crysis is getting. I heard news about Crysis getting a reboot. Yeah.
Oh, nice. Is getting one game that I'm like really excited about is Back 4 Blood, which is like a Left 4 Dead successor.
Yep.
I mean, most of my fun memories with friends is like Left 4 Dead 2.
I think
playing with each other, just messing around.
Back 4 Blood has a session of its own by Warner Bros. Today, if I'm not wrong, or tonight.
Yeah, tonight.
Tonight.
Okay. So that's like a special session in and of itself. But
E3.
Sid, so to transition a little bit, we've already started talking about games. Like, so when you started talking about the first games that you were playing, right, and then and the stuff that you're playing now. So tell me the first game that you played. What was the first game that you played, if you can remember?
First game, if I could remember.
Tetris.
That could not be a game, but yeah, I mean, if you want to call that a game,
let's take Tetris. Let's take Tetris.
Old school platform.
It's an experiment.
For sure. Yeah.
So that's something that's gonna,
scientists experimented.
That's gonna age you really well. People are gonna know.
Wow. That's a subtle way to call me a boomer, huh?
But let's take Tetris, right? And you've got the same person who plays Tetris, and now you play something like Warzone. Right. Okay, you're playing something like Warzone. To me, I think one of the coolest and one of the most underrated aspects of the industry is the glow up. Okay, like I don't think people. I mean, I see a lot of videos on YouTube and stuff where like they do like this is what it used to be in 1990, and I look at it now, look at the graphics, look at this, look at that. But I feel like this is a conversation that can be had not just within the gaming space, but just in general, just as an industry that has evolved to this degree, right? So you have who's someone, and pretty much across the board, everyone here, because I think the speed at which the gaming industry has evolved in terms of its games and the mechanics and the world and art and graphics, has been exponential. The speed is crazy. But for you, as someone who, remembers playing Tetris, and then now you're playing this high fidelity AAA Warzone, 100 players in a server. Like, what is the thing that hits you the most about? Do you think about that? Do you think about the range?
The whole dynamic, yeah. I mean, high fidelity, not so much, by the way, because I'm still waiting for Activision. If you're watching this, please ban hackers. There's no fidelity with that for sure. And yeah, I mean, the gaming industry has evolved I mean, it's aged like wine, if you will. I enjoyed playing that game as well. It used to. So basically, it kind of transforms the way you think. It gives you those, certain patterns to follow while you're, it kind of programs your mind.
I mean, the game has sustained for like so long. They just released like a battle royale version of that game.
Yeah. So
Tetris has a battle. It's called Tetris 99 something.
What? Oh wait, I did see a video on this.
That's the most sold game ever, right? I mean, not like the game, but like.
Call me boomer again, please. so yeah. I mean, so Tetris started there, and now it's like Vibhav said, it's turning into a battle royale version, and now I've turned into a battle royale version of myself as well, because because I realized how solving that puzzle in those running against the time sort of a time frame, and in a particular slot you have to do a lot of things, not just think but act. So the mechanics developed me as a gamer as well, and not just as a gamer but also as a problem solver. That kind of reflected on my career all in all, and as a person as well. So a lot of people who would be thinking and doing things while using a calculator or something like that, I would be simply doing it in my head. So I used to get a lot of beating as well, because the CBSE 10th board would like you to 10th and 12th boards would like you to write down the steps of every mathematical calculation that used to happen on the examination paper. But I used to do it in my head, and I used to write the answer, and I used to fail.
Right.
So I mean, so that used to be the problem, because a lot of things, I mean, your brain is now
at least you were one step ahead. You were at least doing it in your head. I was just not doing it.
I was gonna say something like that. I thought we should take a shot at ourselves. Not today.
That's very interesting, man. I mean,
so I used to do it in my head, and I used to get a scolding for this, that you need to write down the steps. I used to. It was not an argument per se, but it used to be at least a response that, okay, this is the waste of time. I mean, you're putting it down there. So if gaming has taught me something, is to squeeze the timelines, make it turn around in a better manner, and make it much more efficient, because time is money for all you can get, and everybody has limited amount of time on their hands. Nobody has 28 hours or 30 hours a day, but you have to spend it. You have to spend it nicely, and you have to spend it in a way that it turns out to be an investment where with a CAGR of say 100,000%, who knows, but that's what it is. So investing a time in this kind of conversation, or investing my time in a live stream where I'm even if I'm sitting with say 3 viewers or 4 viewers, that's the kind of quality conversation that I would like to have with people as well. So as like I said, coming from Tetris, now Warzone, it has transformed the way I think, and it has given me the patterns. I think a lot of people are still evolving through, and even the Twitch study, there's a study by Twitch that says I think 35 to 40%. So gamers are much smarter than an average person. So and that's because these guys have those patterns, those thinking processes, those thoughts, schools of thought installed already in their brains, where they just don't have to worry about anything else. But yeah, I mean, given the whole toxicity surrounding a lot of communities these days, I don't think that is this is going to stay true for long. But again,
right.
It is mostly unwarranted for the.
Why do you say that though? That it won't stay because the nature of games might change. Is that
no nature of the games? The natures of the games that we're playing right now, those are evolving. Fortnite, for example, it's a metaverse. It's not just a game anymore.
Yeah.
Even Call of Duty is also evolving into a metaverse because Rambo came in, and then Die Hard crossover also happened. So all these things are evolving. All the games are evolving, and but there is a psyche that is attached to all the gaming at a very basic level, which kind of pulls you down instead of letting you evolve into a proficient person, or a person who has much more capabilities up their sleeve than they can imagine. So people turning toxic, they're running around in circles. They have a very small box of understanding and a very very tiny a lens to look through, and that's how they're looking at the world right
That's
now.
actually
Which is kind of
very interesting. Yeah, we'll go on.
Yeah, so what I think is basically most of the people that make comments about video games are half the time not even aware about the video games themselves,
Right.
and they just
Right.
consider like somebody else's opinion about. So I'll relate this with an example. I used to play PUBG with one of my friends, and his household was pretty strict about not playing PUBG because news would show that playing PUBG would get your kid addicted, would get him violent and stuff like that.
Yeah. Please
so
tell me
so
about
one
it.
one of these days we were just playing, and his father came in and he just angrily asked him, "What are you playing? Are you playing PUBG?" And he was like, "No, I'm playing Call of Duty." And then he was like, "Ah, okay, go."
so
like there is a loss
sorry.
of context over there, I believe.
Yeah, I mean that's what I was gonna say. Like at the end of the day, like I think that's a whole world in and of itself, which is how character of an individual or human character is impacted and kind of changed through exposure in video games, right? And I think Nathan is someone who's probably done or maybe done a little more research, at least from a certain angle, I guess, from the mental health angle. He's been doing some research and having some conversations. And me personally, it's something that I completely relate with. Like I also sense the way I think, things I do, how I approach certain problems. I feel like it has been like even from a pattern recognition point of view, not just like not just patterns within a specific thing, but how I look at a problem and how I think about solving that problem. I think it's very impacted by the hypothetical, fictional settings that video games put me in, and I think that's one of the big reasons I've pulled myself into stealth co-op, stuff like Ghost Recon or like Splinter Cell, where I can sit with a few other friends and be like, okay, look, this is how we're gonna do it. We're gonna go here. You're gonna be there. We're gonna do this, and then execute.
By the way, are you sad that they didn't announce any Splinter Cell this year?
Oh please!
I'm sad every year. I'm sad every year. Yeah.
I am because I bought those Splinter Cell copies for $62 if you will. But I got those. It's still there on Epic, by the way, if you guys want to buy. While we're speaking, I think it's $60 for Splinter Cell and Double Agent, and Chaos Theory is about $120.
Dude, Chaos Theory is like
exactly.
Blacklist is the game that Chris and I went ham on. Like that was the first time
strategy.
That's the first time we realized what co-op was. Like I think that was the first game we played co-op because it had the 2-player, and we went ham on that. We played every mission multiple times, different
many times.
Crazy.
With the discussion about how video games are sort of like on a verge, I believe like the whole conversation that video games don't get accepted yet, it's sort of like on the verge that television was like a century or something like that. I don't
Still
know.
with crypto, by the way. So I mean, everything that's new right now is
Yeah, that
be
takes some amount of traction from the previous generation. So
exactly.
like they'll be like, no, this is an idiot box, and like 10 years down the line, every household has it.
Everybody's stuck to their smart TVs, if you will, with like dumb people.
Yeah.
But and that's what it is right now. I wanted to understand this particular thing, and well, even Isaac was pointing this out that I developed a couple of skill sets that were not really present otherwise before gaming or playing that particular game. So I'll give you an example. This whole battle royale business taught me something about communication, and I kind of realized that it was an essential part of what I do, and being a communications professional as well, it needs to happen, and it needs to happen in a way for me so that I can make it easier for other people to understand as well. For example, um, we were doing this live stream, and it was not for me; it was for somebody else. But the whole setup was such that if there is no communication, that live stream would not fly, not a single time. And I'm not talking about the deliverables or design and otherwise as well. A simple flip of a switch was not possible without communication. So if somebody's turning the live stream on from a particular control room, they have to give comms going live, and then the person throws the live on. Then there is another person hitting publish. So there was that, this whole flow of communication. And a lot of people didn't understand what was happening, and everybody was like, "What are you guys doing?" So that used to be that kind of that sort of a skill set that a lot of people again did not understand, but then they caught on once they were told about it. So basically, that kind of develops in a way when people start to accept as a particular norm, or at least as a standard operating procedure. So that I think gaming will always teach you this, that there are certain things that you can always do. Even I while I was rubbing shoulders with a couple of freelancers here and there, I realized that I could easily vibe with somebody, or even on a working level, or even otherwise, that who was at least a gamer at, say, what was that, Candy Crush level, if you will. Because people who were playing Candy Crush, they had their problem solving mind working, so they would understand that. And that's how the person evolves, starting from Candy Crush. Now we're here, and we're talking about Warzone, and Farmville as well. Then they would be Zynga poker, the Texas Hold'em poker. That kind of taught me how to make a straight face. So kind of I used to be like all the time, and sometimes I would be like very sad, but at least this holding of the face together. I mean, I'm basically making a poker face. That was a skill that I used to underestimate as well in a bunch of places. So that, I think, came from gaming for me at the same time. So gaming kind of it made me a Pokemon, but it is what it is. So,
Did anyone play Pokemon growing up though?
Oh, by the way, I was thinking of doing that. If you guys are interested, I would love to make a video on unveiling my Pokemon card collection. I still have it. 15
You have
years
a collection?
Damn.
Wow.
15 years
That's
down
the
the
thing.
line.
That's the thing that I'm not very familiar with it.
One.
I'm not very familiar with it, but I think that's something that's been blowing up recently. This whole Pokemon card collection thing. Logan Paul's been going crazy.
Yeah.
He walked out.
He walked in. Yeah.
With,
Charizard.
Pokemon card.
Was it Charizard card? Yeah.
Yeah. It was $1 million card or something like that. Like after the value of the
I'm
card.
not sure how much
it is. First gen, some gold Charizard card.
Pretty interesting. Pretty crazy.
I still have one, by the way. I still have one.
Back in the day, some kid bought it for like
I'm a
$1
millionaire
or
already,
something.
huh? I bought it for $10. Sorry, $100.
Damn.
Now I'm a millionaire? Bro.
Check, man.
No,
you might be.
I don't know the details of it, so I'm the wrong person to take information from. But I was watching one of the episodes, and Logan Paul mentioned it. But hey, Logan Paul there's a lot of shit that
I
we're
mean,
not gonna be able to take his word
if they're down to get a nugget like the
Yeah.
Among Us character, I bet your this thing we can
Dude, yeah, that Among
bet
Us
on a
character chicken nugget went off for
Oh
like
yeah,
some
how it
million.
sold for $1 million? No way.
Yeah.
Can't be $1
Yeah,
million,
some
bro.
$1 million. I don't remember.
Yeah.
People
Damn,
nowadays,
that's
man,
crazy.
they got money.
So
no, I mean, I wanted to understand this thing
Yeah,
as
yeah,
well.
go
But
on.
these are the places where, you know, a lot of new technologies can also come in.
Yeah.
And
Like,
it was,
yeah.
like it was, I kept buzzing, but you know, buzzing all about the crypto scene and NFTs and whatnot. But,
Mm.
and these are the
Yeah.
places where a lot of people can explore with these sort of technologies that they could just deploy, and let's see how that rolls out.
Right.
And
Yeah.
you know, and then also do
So
things. I
you
mean,
like
there is so
talking
much more. Sorry,
right.
sorry, what?
NFT, you know, that you're saying the
Come on,
CBSE kid who is
Yeah.
getting pattern from games can apply it
Right.
in NFT, right?
Right.
I mean,
So
there's
I
a
mean, there are so many.
connection.
There are so many connections. A lot of people, they don't understand right now. I was attending a bunch of clubhouse discussions as well, and people are yet to understand so many things. And crypto being one of those subjects that is also very dear to gamers. And then a lot of people don't know. Did you have you heard of this game called the Sandbox?
No.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Have you?
It's on Steam, right? It's a Steam game?
I think so. Yeah. So the Sandbox is basically a place, and it's a virtual world where you can buy land as well as everything else with crypto. Imagine.
Oh, okay.
So
It's like
that's
Roblox.
like,
I mean,
yeah.
make your own world, and then, you know, basically they're putting foundation for metaverse, right? Where you know, own
I
real
didn't know
shit
you could.
in the digital world.
I didn't know you could use crypto for that. I didn't know that. Yeah.
And
No, there's
I mean,
this
even
other one.
Ubisoft's like getting into crypto right now.
No, there's
Sony
this
is also
other
Yeah.
game, or not a game. I don't know if it's a game, but this thing called Earth 2.0. I don't know if you guys have heard about it.
I've heard of it.
Like,
It's they're basically selling. They've created a 1:1
a Google Map thing.
kind of Google. It's based on Google Map or something, and then they've basically built this whole the whole world essentially, and they've been selling the virtual land to players.
What?
And people, and the way they're pitching it is basically you buy in. So they're phasing out their whole project, and their end goal is something like a VR virtual world
Yeah.
that
Get
you
out
can
of here,
go
bro.
and do all
That
this
is
stuff.
Like,
Bro,
imagine.
For my money, don't get into
I'm actually planning on doing a deep dive on it. 2.0.
Wow.
Because it's crazy because right now it's crazy because the way they've packaged it, a lot of people are buying in, and there's a whole economy happening right now. Like
yeah, but like there's also
bought,
a lot of info coming out about it being a Ponzi scheme.
Yeah, there is.
That will always be there.
Yeah, it
needs to be there.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, on the official Earth 2 website, I can see stocks going up and down.
Yeah.
Right,
So,
exactly. Imagine that.
Okay,
so we started from Tetris, by the way. So
it's a whole economy. It's a whole economy that they've built, and I don't know, but I checked the back end, and they seem to have a few players that were on the Oculus team and stuff. So it seems pretty interesting, but you never know. So this is not an advocation of anything. This is just me talking about.
Please do not consider Lobby Zero as a financial advisor.
Exactly, I was going to say that.
We are just gamers.
Yeah, we're talking about how things have evolved, by the way.
Yeah, we're all optimistic. See, as gamers, I feel like one of the biggest thing is to be. We are pessimists in a lot of ways, because in a lot of ways we look at games or sequels, or we can see when somebody's just trying to drain the money out of its user base. But at the same time, we're also optimists.
Right.
We're also optimists.
But that's what we're talking about, right?
But like,
there's a lot of examples.
Respawn did a really good job on Star Wars. So.
Right.
Wait,
so
what's Respawn?
The developers.
for like
developers.
Apex Legends
Apex
and
Legends and
Titanfall.
Titanfall and Star Wars as well.
So basically, Star Wars video games had a pretty bad rep because of the whole Battlefront.
I did like the Fallen Jedi title. I played very recently.
Oh, you
I
like
did.
Oh, you did? Okay. Yeah.
I loved it.
Yeah.
Man,
it is.
I've always
good.
wanted to roam around in the universe. Whatever.
It's basically they just copied the Dark Souls game, but like it's still
Star
good.
Wars. Yeah. Definitely. That's every Star Wars fan's dream. Right.
Right. You want to experience that. So I mean, imagine this. So we were playing those linear flat games where we would put in some blocks in some place, and then we would solve puzzles just to get that line to disappear. And now we are into a place where we just want to detach from reality. And
the fact that we can at like a certain level,
at a certain
even
level,
with like VR steadily growing up into its own thing.
Right. So I would like that to happen in India, because you would not imagine if you open Ubisoft's list of developers and their team members, or even Activision and otherwise as well, you'll see more Indian names than ever. And then
true.
Right. So there's so many Indian names. I was shell shocked when I saw Hyperscape, with a lot of Indian names, and I was like, why is this not happening in India? Because we are right now still worried about PUBG, deteriorating a person's thinking. If that's the case, then I think we need to build up some support systems where I think the whole counseling of such schools of thought, where people are thinking that, if my brother is not letting me play, I'll do something stupid to them, and otherwise as well. So we need to understand that these are the cases. These are the places where the behavior is going in a very weird direction, if you will. And I think that should become a problem-solving use case of another sort of gamified learning.
I feel like the accountability for a person's behavior shouldn't translate as much on the media they consume. So like right now games are getting the brunt of it, but like I mean like 20 years ago it was violent cinema and all of that.
It was still happening. Now it has translated into this. And then you talk about the media, the social media as well, which is fueling a lot of thoughts. And I think that also affects. So there's always a mixed bag of things.
I think it's a factor of the consumer within the market maturing with the industry. Like as the industry matures, and in order for that to happen, like let's talk about the gaming industry. In order for the gaming industry to mature, I was talking to another friend of ours that we play with. His name is John. So he has this thing where he has a game idea, and he wants to develop the game. He wants to start up a small studio, and he wants to get into it. He's got a couple of friends. He's trying to figure out the way. And it's the same point that he brought up, which is you look at all these international developers, you see all these Indian names in there in terms of the powerhouses are in this country in terms of development of these big titles and different aspects of these big titles. And so the question is, why aren't we doing that? Why aren't we diving into making these titles and creating IP within the country? And I guess there's some creators that are doing that, and we've started seeing that slowly happening. I think Nikhil Malankar is one of those guys doing his thing with Mumbai Gullies, and even the team behind Raji. So I think it's happening, but I think it's an economic, it's from a business point of view, if the framework and the support can be set up for these businesses and companies to do their thing. I think that's really where the industry starts maturing. And once that happens, once the consumer starts in a tangible and viable and affordable way starts tasting what the Indian industry can offer their consumer, then they'll start maturing, according to me. And once that happens, I feel like, all these problems that we're talking about, and I think it's what's happened in the West as well. I mean, the evolution of the industry, the evolution of how video games were looked at, and how video games are looked at now. Not just because of developers, but because of businesses that are built around, or ecosystems that are built around video games, not just the ones who are making video games. Even if you look at organizations like FaZe Clan, or if you look at organizations like Twitch, you know, whatever it is, like these end up being support players in the industry that will then allow even Lobby Zero. Eventually, what we want to become is a platform and a support player that allows for a breeding ground and kind of a boosting platform for developers that want to make it in this country, you know, eventually.
Right.
And so that's definitely a place that we want to be in. And I think if we have more organizations, and even the players that are on there right now, whether it's you know, Nodewin or Nazara, whoever it is that's in the situation right now, I think if they shift their mentality into not just doing whatever they're doing. I mean, we don't know what they're doing in the back end. Maybe they are planning on something really cool and they do quite a bit of stuff with small indie developers. I've seen some stuff. Like the Harvest Game Festival, I think was one of those things, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah.
I don't know how
the Raji and Nodwin.
I feel like the whole problem, like you said, revolves around some sort of an economical back-end issue, where like, you know, the biggest studios that we have for gaming are usually like support studios for foreign, you know, companies like Rockstar Bangalore and Ubisoft Pune. And like these basically make like certain assets but don't ever develop their own game. And when it comes down to their game, it's, you know, we all saw what happened with the Prince of Persia remake. So
it is a connected thing from my end based on the research I did, right? So the crux of the problem lies with the investor mindset or nature,
because they making games is really expensive. These games like take like 5-6 years to make.
Exactly. 6. I mean, that's exactly where the Raji team is coming out, telling the investor crowd in India, right? They go down for nothing less than 6-month ROI. So you can almost say that they lack, or they run a illiteracy when it comes to games or game industry, right?
I mean,
one is like we don't have the money.
We could just consider this even with Rockstar. People like to say that, you know, GTA 5 earned the most and everything, but like, how long did it take for like GTA 5 or RDR2 to make? So like, you know, holding on to a project for that long, optimizing it till it's good enough. Not launching it half baked.
I wonder if
so like, I don't think
is it
that's
because
something
of the
that's
comparison
possible.
happening? Is the comparison happening not within the industry, or again, I guess that's attached to the nascency of the industry in this market, right?
It's not just economical, but that's where I think XYD made his point, and I think it's right, because in India things become too complex, be it water, be it transport, be it games, because there's you know, you're trying to put food in front of everyone at the same time and try to break barrier in gaming. That's why investors are, you know, so ideally crowdsourcing is on spotlight now. Crowdsourcing is supposedly bringing out the gaming
with like Star Citizen, I guess.
Right. I mean, for
whenever that comes up.
For me, I think all of this kind of is what, at least, even though maybe it wasn't at the top of my mind, but even subconsciously thinking, is probably why I can understand, I mean, why businesses in this country might go for funding outside of this country. You know what I mean? Even for me, when I think of Lobby Zero, why I might think about going for funding outside of India for Lobby Zero is the thinking that maybe if there's an investor outside of this country who lives in a setting where he knows how this works and how his money or how the ROI system works in the gaming industry, the fact that it's going to take time, especially, I mean, obviously, even within the gaming industry, you have different parallels, right? You have your content-based stuff, you have your actual game development, all of which have extremely different parameters of measuring success or metrics or whatever, even time. But I think looking outside for an investor who has a little more context, but then the same person looks at India and understands that India is a very nascent stage market with very high growth potential. that's the sweet spot that I think people should be looking at. I mean, it's something that I guess I was subconsciously thinking about, because hopefully if I can find somebody who's outside of the country who looks at India as a great opportunity, but deploys enough capital or value into the business to take advantage of that opportunity, that's the right kind of mindset that we need, right? And I feel like hopefully as the market evolves, you find more investors like that in the country, because they see people outside of the country making that kind of money, right? And they're like, why am I not, and hopefully that also evolves into things like Dubai is doing now. Dubai has a lot of initiatives that are set up by the government just for people to come in and build businesses specifically within the gaming space. So now if investors here in this country see that investors in the US and, MENA, whatever, are making money out of funding developers in India, then a bunch of investors in India are going to be like, you know what, let's get together and let's create a fund. Let's do this. Let's, tie it up with the government. Hopefully things evolve that way. And I think
it is.
Yeah.
It is. I mean, already like Jio is trying to take the right steps, I guess.
Yeah, exactly.
Until they do that, I think, these guys are taking the forefront of this. And then it has to be a little more accelerated when it comes to these things, because we have already wasted like easily around 10 years.
Right.
Because as far as I've seen, I would have played a lot more games that I'm playing right now if things were better back in 2010, if you will.
Yeah.
We need a Sekiro title, a Sekiro-like title from India, at least.
But it's coming from China right now. I mean, that battle royale game which is the battle royale game
all melee based.
Narc.
Right?
Yeah. Narc.
Sekiro is From Software game though, right?
Right.
Sekiro is not a MMO. It's an RPG game.
Sekiro is like a Souls game by From Software, I guess.
Yeah, it's an RPG game.
RPG, yeah.
Or not by From Software. I don't know.
So,
yeah.
I was just gonna take it to the next space in the conversation, which I guess comes to your activity of streaming, the core activity that you take part in, I guess, in a way, in terms of your online persona, if I'm not wrong. I mean, that's how I found you. So I think we're seeing quite a bit of a jump in people streaming in this country, especially in the past, over the pandemic era that has been going on over the past year. I think people have also kind of doubled down on this. I mean, Lobby Zero's birth as a content-based platform was because of the pandemic. So for you as a creator, at this stage of your life, for you to want to make that, when did you really make the shift, like the hard shift into, because I see you doing this quite regularly now. Like, I think you go online quite often. I see you going live at least 4 or 5 times a week, if I'm not wrong, at least. So if that is the case, like, when did that shift really happen? Because it's not easy. It is time consuming. Like, we recently started streaming a little bit and like Chris and I, we were doing this. And after the first stream, I was like, yo, I was so exhausted. Because we're trying to create entertainment, right?
You're talking about GTA RP, right?
No,
GTA
Apex.
We did Apex. Yeah, we did Apex with Zara.
I mean, we're trying to be casual, but then we also subconsciously know that we're live, so we're trying to be conscious about that. And
it's hard not to have a persona at that point.
There is an energy shift. So the energy shift is there. The rate at which your energy is consumed kind of shifts. And at the end of the thing, I was tired. So I know that streaming takes effort and it takes time. And for you to make that shift in a market like this, which is a very nascent stage, as we discussed, where ROI is a big question mark. So for you, what made you start streaming, and what was the rationale behind it? At this stage, and for you to want to get into that and actually dedicate time to it. Because if I'm not wrong, this is something that does take a major portion of your time. Like your persona as a streamer is something that you're really doubling down on now, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So I started, like I said, when I was doing this radio show bit, where I used to host guest mixes, and I used to promote a lot of homegrown music. That was back in 2012. So I realized that was also a live stream. So I go back in 2011, 12, when I was doing this live stream of my radio shows. It was basically an internet radio station. So potato, if you will, in terms of, live streams, audios, and otherwise. So that was where I started building the community around my musical activities. And musical activities would take around 2 to 3 days for one show, at least, just to produce that show, and then a week long of pre-production efforts. So I started that started back in that phase where I would put it all together in 1 week, started squeezing it, and condensing in a way where I would do it in at least 2 to 3 days. That sort of was my turnaround, and I started noticing that this used to be my turnaround when it comes to one particular instance. And then I realized that this was also translating into um, some, I mean, time spent of a kind where I would also play, say, 8 hour sets when I would be live playing my DJ sets for decent crowd, like that. So those were the activities that made live things happen for me. So I use that, and I use that energy. I understood certain aspects of those performances, and those, I mean, that production nuance, those production nuances that used to go into the radio station and radio show property. And I combined those, and I started doing the live streams around, I think, May 2018. So 3 years ago. Yeah, fairly. April, May 2018, if you will, I started multi-streaming with PUBG at the core, because that was the newest game. I started connecting with a lot of people, started socializing in a way I didn't imagine. And we built a community of about 30, 40 active players in one place, almost every in one place, and almost every um, say one day, if you will. So every day we would be uh, gathering up about 30, 40 players, because a lot of people didn't have the access to a community. Then the community started sprouting up, and then the communities wouldn't have the entertainment that came from the live streams. So what I did was I started live streaming for a lot of people who wanted to play the game but couldn't. And then I would be playing with people who can, just so that we become the entertainment, like that. So live stream started, and then I took over um, this idea of live streaming on a regular basis. I took on that uh, idea of doing videos as well at the same time, and I started live streaming full time with the idea of making a career out of it. And then lockdown happened. A lot of things went south for a lot of us, including me. So, I thought live stream is at the core of what I do anywhere. And I've already done radio shows. I've already done live shows. We have the community. Let's just make something out of it, because I think live streaming as a career is underrated, and at the same time mostly misunderstood in India. A lot of people think that just slap on live stream, put on a rig, play the game live. That's that. No, that's not how it works. That's not how it would, because that's not what live streams are. It needs to create some sort of value in terms of entertainment or otherwise as well. So I mean, and even if anything, it needs to create a community. So creating that community was already happening, and then combining that with the whole audio and the live mechanics that I learned while I was on my way to starting my live streams. I realized that I think it is good time. It is a good time that I take up live streaming as a full time career. Um, it didn't pay well for sure. I would be honest. Uh, and it not I would not be sugarcoating this thing that in India, especially when it comes to smaller live streamers, it is not easy to start up. Like a startup itself, because when it comes to stepping out and putting on that live stream, telling people, hey, I'm live streaming now. I'm a gamer. I'm a professional gamer, and pay me. They'll ask you simple thing, and everybody has asked me the same thing ever. Why? So even if the content is being put out there, even if a lot of people would be looking forward to this conversation, a lot of people would not be. And I am good. I am pretty understanding of the fact that it would not make a lot of sense to a lot of people. Why are 5 6 guys talking right now on the screen, and 7 guys talking on the screen right now, and what are they trying to do? But and why would I pay them like that? So people uh, started misunderstanding this concept of earning from the live streams when the lockdown happened, because a lot of people were out of jobs and everybody was turning to live streams as well. So, and those who were building up since 2018, 17, and 2019, in fact, those who were building up, they were putting in a lot of hours to establish their brands and whatnot. They sort of took a hit as well, because the barrier to entry to this sort of career was almost nil. But again, the sustainability, I mean, to reach that sustainable level of earning from this sort of a career was way too high, because people just don't understand what all goes into establishing themselves as a streamer. So that way, I understood that the fact that I had the background for it. I had the, and by background I mean I like, in Hindi we say ghat ghat ka pani piya, which is basically is you've experienced almost everything in your life.
Everything that
Yeah,
he does.
yeah. So you've experienced so many things that you're ready to do or take up the challenge that a lot of people think they can, but they're not yet there. So I not to boast, but I kind of combined what I learned, and then I shared it with the rest of the people as well. A lot of people, I'm not going to lie this there as well, that a lot of people who wanted to pull this thing down as well came around, and they started griefing like that, and it kind of didn't make sense to me, because they were just chilling. And live streaming is a very sensitive business when it comes to at least the initial stages, and you know it kind of turned a lot of things south for me as well. But then I switched over to this thing as not just a side hustle. I mean, not exactly a side hustle per se, but this is what I want to do, uh, whether or not I'm doing anything else. So if even if I'm not writing, even if I'm writing, doesn't matter. If I'm playing music live or not, doesn't matter. If I'm making something else for somebody else, XYZ client or otherwise, or whatever I'm doing, even if I'm being a janitor, doesn't matter really. I would be live streaming still, because this is the way I connect with people, and I want to keep at it. And that's how I invested myself as a live streamer, full time, 4 to 5 times a week now. But I used to do 4 or 5 hours of live streams, at least 2 live streams a day, um, before. November 2020. No, December 2020.
I think that's an interesting point, which is, and I haven't had a lot of conversation with people who live stream, but what you said about it being at a very basic fundamental level an extension of your communication method, an extension of your communication mode in order for you to pull it off. Because even a little bit of the glimpse that we've had into what the world of streaming is about and the background setup that needs to happen. Obviously, it's much more for people like you who are going all in on it. And for the people who actually want to make it, they really do have to go into it to a degree that is more than the average person. And so the point that you made, that it has to, at some fundamental level, make a connect to your basic method of communication, I feel like. Which if you can do, then it will come across as an authentic format of entertainment, because people sense that the conversation that you're trying to build is at least authentic, and it feels good. But also, I guess the other part of it is also, before the pandemic, maybe people were a lot less receptive to that concept, because now people are so exposed, they're overexposed to communicating with people on screens and through Zoom calls and all that stuff. Whereas back in the day, this was not exactly the standard mode of communication, right? And so if I had somebody in my circle who was streaming, before the pandemic, I would have looked at them differently, or I would have probably processed it differently. But now, in the pandemic world, if I have someone in my circle who's streaming, I look at it differently, because this mode of communication has taken on a whole new characteristic because of the pandemic, I feel like. So that's a really interesting point, yeah. Nitin, you were going to say?
Yeah, it's like, especially post-pandemic, there is a streamer out there who might resonate with the values I'd like to hear stories from, right? And this presents a big opportunity for all the guys out there like XYD, trying to. But before that, I would say that the whole idea of social media superimposing the, face value morale or stories was kind of questioned during the whole self-introspection that happened post-pandemic.
Right. And I think this also puts your face onto whatever the shit posting that we are doing on social media. Basically, if somebody has the guts to put the face on for this, whether it's a YouTuber or it's a live streamer, otherwise, or a video creator, I think they have what other people don't, right? They have the face on their opinion, and which is, I think, much more valuable when it comes to constructive criticism. Because one, you can identify, and two, you can identify the intent as well as, the presentation of the thought. And it is not supposed to be over the top all the time, but I think it kind of works in an interesting manner when it comes to being constructive about any sort of criticism or any sort of feedback that needs to go out there. And also the fact that when it comes to creating a community, it is necessary that a person knows how to communicate with their own community in various ways, in different time slots, in different the time slots of the day, in different moods, and they can still communicate and connect with their own people. Because as a live streamer, I've realized that the lack of community, or at least the lack of interest of people who want to watch their favorite creator is what is killing the whole idea of creating a variety of content. Plus, a lot of people think that if this guy can do it, I can do it as well. But when it comes down to executing it, it sort of becomes a barrier for them. And then they think that, okay, fuck it, I just don't want to do it anymore, and I would not watch the other person as well. Instead of plain simple appreciating the fact that somebody is already creating it, let's just join them as at least a viewer, if not a contributor or a supporter of sorts. I think as like to sum this up, um, I've realized that as a live streamer, I've understood the fact that this needs to be at the top of your priority list when it comes to a career, or at least I'm not. This is not a career advice, by the way, in any manner. But if you want to do something like live streams on a regular level, it kind of has to be somewhere on the first three priorities for your day, because otherwise I think if it becomes your free time thing, and if you don't have anything else that you connect with your community through, I think take a step back, realize that you're more of a viewer than a creator, and join a community that you would like to. And I realized that I have to do both, because right now when I was doing right now that I'm doing 4 to 5 days, I'm also part of other people's communities.
Right.
And I am uh, I'm also, while I was doing at least 2 live streams of 4 to 5 hours a day each. uh, so that used to be a different scene altogether. I could not participate in any other community, and that kind of brought the idea down. So
Right. That's a
live
good
streaming
point.
has been a journey like that.
I believe, but like in
Interesting.
India, going back to one of your points about people not, being willing to spend money, that's pretty interesting, considering most of Indian crowd still thinks whether streaming might not be value for money. This is pretty easy, I can do it, and then they're
Exactly.
like, okay, then why should I pay for it?
Exactly.
But that's
Barriers to
not
entry.
really true. Yeah.
Right. So see, barriers to entry, any sort of career on a basic level, barriers would be there, would not be there in terms of education, qualification, and whatnot. But then when it comes to quality, the barriers are super high, and
True.
Yeah.
and people,
Especially in India.
especially in India, because one, the kind of content that gets accepted at a mass level,
Yeah.
and then the type of content that get accepted in the different niche communities and cliques is pulled apart.
Yeah.
There's a lot of
Yeah.
self-figuring out to do, and with
Exactly.
having said less references out there,
Right.
it becomes a mammoth task to just start take
Exactly.
the first action.
Yeah.
Exactly. And live streaming, as an energy drainer itself, like you guys said, it kind of it kind of drained your energy, and you guys were not feeling it. It has to have that sort of lifestyle. And
Yeah.
if there is a
That-
specific lifestyle that fits live streaming right into what it is. Otherwise, if you're not, then and if you're not motivated to live stream,
Yeah.
it's
I mean,
it's a- it's a
I mean,
different journey.
I guess it's
Different thing.
two different spaces, right? It's either I think see, like, I think a lot of creators, they have to switch between. There's a lot of creators who just are what they are, and that translates into their content. But then I also feel like there are a lot of creators that have a switch that they can flip, and they're able to put on that persona, and they're able to really kind of play that persona to the T and produce, and then exit once the piece is over. And they're able to do it quite seamlessly. But I think it might take some time for them to kind of experience that transition and keep doing it again and again before it becomes really natural to them. But yeah, what you said, a lot of interesting points that you brought up with regard to streaming. Those were some of the things that we wanted to visit in our guide. You've already covered it in terms of how COVID hit you as a streamer, and the challenges that you face. And I think in a certain tangent, you've also talked about if somebody else wants to stream, what should the mindset be, and what should they consider? So I think you've covered pretty much most of the topics that we wanted to talk about. But a quick question. This is probably the second last question. If you weren't streaming right now, like let's say at all, right? What is the alternative thing that you would be doing? Would you be copywriting, or is there something else that that you had a dream of doing, making your thing?
Things changed over time. I wanted to make games when I was in school. I wanted to develop games as well.
Nice.
Towards the end of my schooling, I thought I would go at least, if not games, then at least animated movies.
Right.
So I wanted to do that. I wanted to go to Disney and learn what the craft of the game is, what the trick of the trade is. But because coming from an artistic background, and combining drawing and writing and a couple of other things that I was doing that I never mentioned of anyway, but combining all of these interests, I wanted to do that. But then now that I've realized that there is more to life than just making money. There are certain things that I wanted dearly in life, and then when my puppers, my dog daughters, they came about in my life, I realized that I think there are a bunch of kids out there, uh, dogs, cats, otherwise as well, who need help. So if I would not be live streaming, I think I would be helping them. So
that's noble. That's a noble cause. That's pretty noble. And I guess the last question that we've got is, what's one thing, if you have to, say it, one thing that you dislike about the industry in this market, and one thing that you really like about the industry in this market in India?
One thing I like about the industry or around the industry, I don't know. But one thing I do not understand is this. Wait, can you hear noise behind me, by instance?
No, it's
no.
good.
Okay. No noise.
It's good now.
Right. That's good.
Right. So if I dislike about anything about the industry, it would be the whole sluggish acceptance of the developments of the industry. I mean, video games are not being accepted as they should when it comes to, as fast releases. Sorry, I'm a little scattered right now. But one thing that I wanted to understand from the inside of the industry, and that I do not like, is how it gets accepted when it comes to the general public. A lot of people, they don't understand the points and the good things about gaming, and those get overshadowed by the bad things about gaming. And I'm not saying there are no bad things about gaming. For example, the toxic community, the kind of mindsets and the psyche that flows through the industry, as well as the communities. But I think those can be taken care of if things are done right. Support roles.
I feel like somewhere we lack a strong regional player. Not like a video game player. I mean, when it comes to video games, like these YouTube channels like Extra Credits, Rad Brad, PewDiePie, they've been like representing like the video games and everything for such a long time that it's almost become the norm. It's more natural that people want to become YouTubers, or want to play games for career rather than do something else. But with India, I don't think that's still a norm yet. We're still living back when like GTA was a crime in America and everyone was like, ban this game.
Exactly. So a lot of people are looking at something like, if there is PewDiePie for the rest of the world, we have Carrie Minati. I'm not denying that. And Carrie Minati being one of those creators who honestly might cuss a lot, but through those cusses you can see he's making sense, and he's making such sense that he makes a lot of sense when it comes to a bunch of things that people underestimate, and then they take the rest of the nonsense home and they try to imitate that sort of, I think, is what is lacking, because again, his roasts of things like TikTok and otherwise and other games as well were appreciated for the cusses and the kind of the kind of curses that a lot of people have not, the innovative cusses, if you will, a lot of people have not heard of. And this was kind of funny as well as very stupid. But again, he was making sense in certain places where he pointed out that, we are talking about content here and we're not talking about plain simple, uh, you know, we're not talking about random as notions that we don't even stick to, because sometimes you're telling, I mean, some sort of a TikToker is telling that, I've been here, I've been there, and the next thing you know, he was lying. So there was no basis, there was no substance that TikTok creators were offering in some places. I'm not saying all of them were like that, but yeah. But so, like I said, Carrie Minati makes more sense. He's been a support role, and he's been a supporter of the gaming industry ever since. And he's been doing a lot of things, and he's been promoting a lot of creators at the same time. So, but again,
I think, yeah, but it's
packaging,
also the acceptance on a bigger level,
exactly.
wherein, Carrie Minati becomes like, or not just Carrie Minati, anyone, even like Mortal or someone becomes like an okay thing to, aspire to be at a
Exactly.
level of.
So imitating is the best way to appreciate somebody, right?
Yeah.
And given a lot of people take stupid things home, and by stupid things I mean the most faffiest, the faffiest things home. For example, the way the person roasts with innovative curses and nothing else. So people started imitating that, and they opened a lot of roast channels, if you will, but they didn't see what the content was all about.
Lack of substance.
Exactly. So roasting was not just throwing curses around and making people laugh with uh
Yeah, it
how you said
wasn't
it.
much more of a punching down thing. It was
Exactly.
just, yeah.
Exactly. So there were so many things. There are so many things Carrie does,
Yeah.
and but people don't understand that, and that's what I think has become a problem. Where if he does something and gets imitated, then it gets seen as and it gets attached to gaming as well at the same time.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
then there's a whole loop of things that kind of puts gaming down, and it kind of makes everybody feel, especially the elderlies who have access to YouTube, and then they see Carrie Minati flashing in front of their screens cursing,
Right.
that okay, you follow this guy, he's doing nothing but curses, and and you're also playing the games, you'll become like him. So
Yeah.
that is the exemplification which is going south, because again, we take our standards of entertainment in different places are poles apart, like that.
Hmm.
So I think that sort of hampers how gaming is developed, like that. Gaming industry is being you know uh, very lenient about how things are supposed to go. But if we start investing, and I think, and the thing that I like about the gaming industry is it has the potential to invest in people who can counter this
Hmm.
very easily. I know a couple of creators myself who have the potential to counter, as well as create original content, as well as have substance that can counter this sort of thinking on a mass level. But
Right.
for them to invest their time, money, and life in this, I think they'll have to be much more motivated than just money.
Hmm. Yeah.
So
It's true.
so that sort of, I think, if people are evolving, and if we need to evolve the communities plus the societies that are involved in gaming and around gamers, then we'll have to streamline these things,
Yeah.
especially the kind of quality creators. I think Lobby Zero is doing a fantastic job on this one. That they're scouting out, and they're handpicking the gamers and the creators that needs those need to counter people and this roasting business, if you will. So
Right.
good job,
I
guys.
I feel like
Thanks, man.
that's the point where like when I was saying regional players, I feel like Lobby Zero is trying to fill these holes in the Indian demographic demand, where we're trying to create content which is like a news roundup. We are trying to
Right,
create like documentaries and everything,
right.
just so that we are clearing that niche and providing that content base so that everyone can
Yeah.
have something that they can
There are a lot of things. There are too many holes to plug right now. But I think one baby step at a time would also do.
Yeah, I guess that's where size of opportunity comes into play. So hopefully, we're able to plug in those opportunities in a systematic way. For sure, baby steps is the name of the game. Absolutely.
Pacing is the name of the game.
Pacing, yeah.
Pacing as well. Like, I mean, for the time that we consume versus the time that we put in to make things happen.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think Sid, it was a pleasure listening to the journey. I think there's a lot of value in this whole conversation, from the get-go of the first game that you played to exploring your different passions to doubling down on this one activity that allows you to, regardless of whatever else you might be doing. That was an interesting point, that you would still be live streaming and kind of exploring different interests through the format of live stream. And at the end of the day, talking about the industry and your outlook on the industry, which is something that I think needs to come out more into the market, that the audience and the consumer in this market needs to hear more from, creators and developers and, different industry players, with regard to how they view the industry, what they don't like about the industry, what they want to fix about the industry, and how they intend on fixing that. So I think a great conversation, to say the least. But to segue as the final part of this conversation, I think a big thing that happened last night was E3. So it was the first day of E3. And I think the most notable section of it was Ubisoft Forward. And
Ubisoft and Gearbox.
Gearbox, is it? Yeah. So I'm going to take a back seat here. I'm going to take a back seat here because I haven't watched much. But for me, the stuff that I did see, for me, the highlight was, not exactly a highlight per se, but the thing that I saw and I was able to consume was basically Rainbow Six Siege Extraction, or is it Rainbow Six Extraction? What is it called?
It's called Rainbow Six Extraction.
Is that a different game altogether, or is it?
It will be a different game altogether. Okay. It's sort of based on like a season from Siege.
It's a different mode, if I'm not wrong. The Extraction.
Same mode. I did check. There's no campaign. It's just the
PvE.
Yeah.
PvE.
PVM. It's a PVM. It's a monster.
Okay.
Right.
I mean, the mutation thing was interesting. That's not something that I was familiar with Siege. For some reason, I never got into Siege. Although I was a Rainbow Six fan, and I used to play Rainbow Six games back in the day on the phone. They had Rainbow Six titles on the phone and stuff.
That was another game on Engage QD, if I remember correctly.
Right. Right. Yeah. So Rainbow Six Extraction, and I guess the cool thing about it was cross-platform. That was something that I thought was interesting. Like, it's bringing in cross-platform, so anybody on any platform can play. And the second thing that go on.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
Yeah, and the second thing that caught my attention was Riders Republic. So they did like a little piece on Riders Republic.
I heard Nitin talk about it before, like this conversation.
Right.
So like Nitin was really excited.
Yeah, it gave me steep like vibes.
Yeah. Interesting thing with Riders Republic is that it has, direct truths with the research I did. The whole idea of, going out in the wild, and I'm hoping they have communication like how XYD mentioned, right? The whole idea of being able to talk, and then it's amazing. In Utah, the whole Ken Block culture is what they're bringing out, and it's a good window.
Right.
People have been wanting to go out there, and they've been locked up, and I think Riders Republic has caught it at the right.
The game just looks pretty fun.
The game looks pretty fun.
There's like rocket wingsuit.
I think they had that in Steep as well. But I think the thing that I'm really interested about is they seem to have first person perspectives in this one, like the mountain bike,
with all of the
mountain biking. Yeah. That's something that I would love to do first person and just go crazy on, So hopefully, that's the thing that
VR would be sick.
VR would be
I feel like that's a lost cause that they haven't used VR.
Yeah. So that was my piece, my 2 cents. But you guys go ahead. What were you excited about?
I personally found it slightly underwhelming.
Right.
Yeah.
Let's just say
Exactly.
You found Riders Republic underwhelming?
no, not
No.
Riders Republic.
The Ubisoft
Honestly,
forward.
Riders Republic
Right.
was the highlight of it.
Right.
And that's weird saying that, there is an Avatar game and there is a Rainbow Six game also.
Right.
Because one thing I was expecting Splinter Cell, which didn't happen.
Mm-hmm. And they give you Avatar instead.
Yeah.
So I think I can make do with that, because just the sheer landscape. And while we speak, I was also checking my Twitter. So senior, sorry, just a sec. This guy, senior gameplay engineer at Ubisoft and Redstone, has liked my tweet. That
wow.
that I was talking about. I was super excited about Battlefield. Yeah, but I am.
By the way, do you guys know that this isn't the first Avatar game though, by Ubisoft also?
Oh, really? Interesting.
Yeah, they made like a tie-in movie game back. This is why they have the license to
sounds very familiar. Like I remember like a shitty Avatar game from long back, right?
Right.
Yeah, where you could play as either human or Avatar.
Is there on Android as well? What?
Wow.
No.
If I'm playing an Avatar game, why would I play as a human in that game? I don't get it.
That's the first thought I had when I saw the gameplay, yesterday.
It is pretty funny how that game ended. It was also marketed to be like, fully 3D, because that was the craze back then that pulled Avatar.
3D.
Especially with the whole eco trend going around, right? Who would want to destroy the world? I mean, come on, man.
For me, I think like the more exciting games were revealed previously, which was like Elden Ring. That looked sick. It's almost like Shadow of Colossus meets Dark Souls. And like,
which game is this?
It's called Elden Ring, and so basically the whole thing is Dark Souls.
Okay.
But it's written by George R.R. Martin.
Oh shit.
Oh yeah.
So the guy who wrote Game of Thrones. So like, and they're bringing in like this open world and all of this, and so like George R.R. Martin had once gone on like record saying video games can't do literature properly or something like that, and I won't ever write for video games. And then he got into this.
He sold out.
Wow. Okay. That's interesting.
Interesting. If somebody has to follow writing, I think Assassin's Creed, and then I was missing in Ubisoft Forward as well. I think there was not much of an Assassin's Creed.
It was just a expansion for the existing game, the Valhalla.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I was hoping for more content. I mean, they're doing expansion, but that's basically the season pass stuff. It's not really something crazy. But
I don't think there was many like new reveals. We already know about Far Cry 6. Rainbow wasn't expected, but like we have already had a taste of it.
But again, I don't think a lot of people were asking for something like this from Rainbow Six, were they?
Yeah. I no. So basically, they had released like a Rainbow Six Plague teaser or trailer or something like that, and then that's now become like the Rainbow Six Extraction. Yeah. Because people thought that they have given up on this and they're just continuing with Siege.
Right. But again,
I think this is a strategy to bring in more people into 6.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Right? Because in the light of what you said, they could just bring in another operator who deals with Plague or I don't know.
Yeah, that way. Yeah, but I think they wanted to hype some up a little. I mean, they wanted to hype this whole Rainbow Six community up with the following presentation that happened, and also the fact that Rainbow Six needed that sort of center stage in Ubisoft Forward. I think last couple of times these guys didn't give it much. So
I mean, if I'm being honest, a big reason I would get into the game, or I might be inclined to get into Rainbow Six, is cross-platform. If I'm being honest, because in the pandemic, I don't see a lot of my friends getting new consoles and getting into new platforms, just simply because of a spending capacity situation. So everyone's trying to work with what they have. And I wish more publishers and developers would integrate cross-platform into their titles. Like, it's the perfect time to do it, but just because now when I think about gaming, I'm thinking, okay, I know the people that I want to play with, and I know that cross-platform is a possibility because games like Warzone, Apex, and all these guys have done it. So now I want to see that in other titles. So now when I think about a game, I'm like, okay, can I play cross-platform with the guy who I play Warzone with, or the guy who I play, this with, and Rainbow Six, because it brings in cross-platform. I'm like, okay, I want to have another new experience with my friends who play on a PC or whatever. So that is something that's interesting, and I hope I see more cross-platform stuff that's coming in.
For me, I feel like Rainbow Six Extraction, basically because of its whole zombie theme, would be very much in line with what Back 4 Blood is also going for. Yeah, maybe they have like less characters, and this is like the major pull for Back 4 Blood. It has so much just personality to it. It looks so fun to play.
Right.
Whereas compared to like something like Extraction, considering it doesn't even have like a backing story to its entire gameplay feel.
Right. It's fully just multiplayer, right?
Yeah. And that's also something like a lot of games are going for, even like Battlefield
2042, yeah.
The thing about Rainbow Six is I own one of those games, peer pressure, I can say. They got me into the game. But I did like it to an extent. It's the mechanics they use, how you handle your gun, and apparently is as close as the real deal. Is what the back-end guys have tried. It's quite cool.
I don't understand how people can bend or like lean over like this while
that's
handling that heavier gun. I think Kristlin, you can tell us more about how you can do that.
The E and the Q.
Background. Yeah. Since you have the background of it.
I mean, not
how do you bend so far with the gun?
Not really. I mean, let's not get into that.
It's literally every podcast now.
Yeah.
Oh, really? I missed that.
No, because we talk about it, and because there's two of us. There's two of us that have served. Is it two? Yeah, it's two of us that have served in national service. So very different experiences. But because we've already gotten into it before, I guess we don't have to get into it now. But yeah, I mean, for me, with E3, that's pretty much it. Ubisoft Forward. Anything else you guys want to talk about?
Yeah, I mean, for me, honestly, Ubisoft Forward, I wasn't really excited about most of the stuff they showed because one, I haven't played the Rainbow Six, so I wasn't excited for that. Then the what was that, the game, the bike game, what was it called?
Riders
Republic.
Republic. Yeah. So that looked interesting. So I'm curious about that. So the only thing I was actually excited for was Assassin's Creed, and it's kind of disappointing. It's just two expansions, one already announced, but I am still excited for the Siege of Paris because I love Vikings TV show, and so to experience the Siege of Paris, in game, that would be really, amazing. So I'm kind of excited for that, but otherwise,
I feel like the fact that they're okay with taking a break for a year or two is good for the game series also.
So hopefully the next game is good,
This is good, yeah. Because then like Assassin's Creed just hits like a staleness.
Yeah. Right now I'm hoping the rest of E3, is going to be better. And I hope
we've got like Nintendo.
Yeah, the Microsoft thing did kick off, I think.
It's right.
We might get Halo Infinite.
That's 10 minutes ago, right? It kicked off.
Oh, it did?
Yeah, it's going on right now. The Microsoft, the Xbox, and the Bethesda.
It's happening. Yeah.
I hope that they're going to bring back Halo Infinite.
Bro, I am excited. I can't wait for the Halo something. I want to see something. A trailer, gameplay, something. I can't wait for Halo.
Just give us a go right after this. That's also
right. All right. Then.
I mean, there was news about Forza Mexico coming out this E3, right?
Okay.
Oh, interesting.
That's good.
Yeah,
we'll get to know
it was initially set in Japan or something, and then they changed it to. Yeah, let's hope that comes out today.
Yeah.
So that's good. That's a good wrap up of, I guess, some of the things that happened for E3 last night. So hopefully there's some really cool stuff that's gonna happen tonight and tomorrow. It's a 4-day program, right?
Yeah, 4-day.
4-day, yeah. So across the next 3 days, hopefully we get some good stuff. Fingers crossed, touch wood. So yeah, listen, Sid, thanks for joining us. Thanks for taking part in a relatively lengthy conversation.
Yeah.
I think it was a pretty nice conversation. I think
pretty good.
Yeah,
a lot of
this
insight.
went beyond our expectations in like both time and how we were
output.
it.
Yeah, content.
Yeah, good content.
It was good content.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm sure there are like a few of the listeners out there, right? Trying to like, this is the first ground zero for them in terms of content creation.
Right.
Yeah.
This is the first time. This is the first time we're talking to a creator. So next episode we're hopefully going to be able to chat with Zara. So it's going to be a little more of a nascent stage insight for her as opposed to the conversation and insight that we've had from Sid, because she's really starting from scratch. And so you know, it's going to be really interesting to see where her mind's at and what the situation is for her. And the weekend after that, where we might have a surprise guest. We're gonna see how that goes. First, we're gonna try our luck into getting them, and once we manage to get them, we'll announce them. But yeah, I think this was a good conversation. Thanks, Sid, for jumping in. Is there anything specifically that you know?
Too many things on my mind right now, but you know, I think that makes up for another episode of another Ground Zero or
for sure.
More
or a live stream. Yeah, so there's a lot of content out there.
Yeah,
and then there's a lot of content back in time as well. So yeah,
for sure. So anything specifically that you would like to plug, like, you know, where do you create content on? Where do you primarily?
No plugs particularly. I mean, I like a bunch. I jumped a bunch between bunch of platforms, YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and otherwise as well. But now I'm sticking to live streaming on Twitch because it is easy to stick to Twitch, one, and also it is easy to create content on that platform because for me, workflow matters a lot. And given the workflow is, if they're not in place, I think I would just be running around in circles. YouTube, on the other hand, happens to be where all my videos go. So that, and then the rest of the platforms, IGTV, Facebook, Twitter, Medium.
Link in bio.
Yeah, we'll just put all of the links in the bio.
Yeah. Link in bio. So yeah, that way. It is
awesome.
Always a pleasure to join you guys.
Absolutely.
And I hope to see you guys. I hope to see you guys in Verdansk.
I think, listen, Verdansk is part of the plan. So hopefully, if we can get our schedule down right, coming, what day was it? Today is Sunday.
Saturday, yeah.
Saturday is when we want to do Warzone nights with Siddhartha. So we have everything set up, and so hopefully we're able to do something, or you know, when the opportunity allows, if we can jump onto your stream and you know, play Warzone. Chris and I have been playing a little bit.
Did you get grind your guns?
We've been.
Guns? We're getting used to it. We just go for the loadout drop. Get the first loadout we see.
we're right now. Our game is Rebirth Resurgence.
Ooh.
We started off with Plunder, and then we realized that the reason we liked it was because we were good at picking up shit.
We were so good.
Not shooting people.
We were so good because we didn't shoot a single person.
Even in Apex.
Yeah, we take money. But then we were like, okay, we need to start shooting people. So Rebirth. But then we wanted to find the sweet spot between shooting people and being able to revive or redeploy. So Rebirth Resurgence was our thing. So we've been doing that. So hopefully we can jump into one of those. Battle Royale, we're gonna die really fast, and it's not gonna be as fun.
So in which case, I think we can make a back about this, that you guys grind your guns, you guys hang out in the chat and understand what guns you need to grind,
right?
And then we drop onto the live stream and then we get the dubs.
Sounds good, bro. Sounds good.
Sounds good. So,
gotcha.
And not connected to that, I see a follow-up metaverse sandbox discussion happening with Sid.
Metaverse,
because that kind of like I was thinking, okay, what's that one
more
thing
content
that's in
coming
my
up.
head?
I've been thinking
definitely
about that for a while
Sandbox.
too, bro. Like even
Right?
the Earth 2.0. I forgot who brought that up. I've been thinking about that like this whole time we're talking. In the back of my head, I'm like, God, what the hell is happening to this world? You know, like
Structure, guys.
feels like Black Mirror. You know, like a Black Mirror
It's
episode.
straight out of Ready Player One, bro. That's what's gonna happen.
We should probably make like a deep dive on these concepts.
Yeah,
definitely.
We'll do it.
Yeah. We'll probably.
So next deep dive, stay tuned for the metaverse. Right?
The metaverse.
Cool.
Absolutely.
I think we're good for today. Thank you, everybody. For people who've been watching, if you like this episode, if you'd like to see more content coming your way with regard to the spectrum of the gaming world, all the way from conversations with content creators to business executives in the industry to developers, there's a lot of crazy stuff coming, and we are dedicated to producing some really cool content. So drop a like, hit subscribe, hit that notification icon, bell. I think that's it. I think we're signing off. Love0 is signing off. See you guys next time. Peace out.
Peace out. Have fun, guys.
All right.